Welcome to the Mavens Do It Better podcast. And now, your host, Heather Newman.
Hello everyone, here we are again for another episode of the Mavens Do It Better podcast, where we interview extraordinary experts who bring a light to our world. And I couldn't be more excited today to introduce all of you to someone who brings a lot of light to my world, my dear friend and colleague, Allison Gerlach, coming to us from Chicago. Allison, say hi to all of our listeners.
Hello, everyone.
Goodness, Allison and I'll tell you a secret, we're pretty good friends. So, we've known each other since about 2004. Which it seems like it's been longer than that, but yeah.
Yes.
Been in each other's lives.
I can't remember us not knowing each other.
I know, I agree. So, hey, Allison, will you tell everybody about your cool parade and what you do there in Chicago, working in the arts and doing fabulous things?
Of course. Well, I moved back to Chicago to be closer to family. About the fall of 2014. Mm-hmm. And then I was, just coming off of doing events with you, with Microsoft and Microsoft partners. And so I think that I immediately started working with events, and I worked briefly for Columbia College. I produced an event for them called Portfolio Day. But while I was there, I met a gentleman named Mark Kelly, who at the time was the vice president of student success. And he liked my work on Portfolio Day. I invited a bunch of professionals to come review students' portfolios, and it was really well attended. So through that, he said he was art directing a new parade that had never been done before called the Halloween Gathering with a company called the Chicago Cultural Mile, and he asked if I would like to join that team and work with them. And I said yes, I would. I've never produced a parade, but, I'm always up for a challenge. And so 2015 was my first Halloween parade.
Yes.
And, and I loved it. I loved being able to contact, because our parade is different. There's no politicians. There's no corporations, with their logos everywhere.
No sponsor.
It's all arts organizations. So we try to use Halloween to shine a light on the artists in our city and kind of proclaim Halloween as it's the artist holiday, and let's look at all these great organizations in the Chicagoland area that you might not know anything about. So our parade has grown and grown and grown each year. This year I have over 80 groups that are going to be in the parade on October 19th.
Wow.
We have everybody from After School Matters to this year is the year of Chicago Theater, and so the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events have donated money to groups that will participate from theater companies, and so I have 14 theater companies leading the parade.
That's
so I have
awesome.
everybody from Black Ensemble Theater to Looking Glass Theater to Synapse Arts, About Face Theater.
Wow.
Just the list goes on and on.
Who's who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a whole bunch of great groups. And our parade is really great about bringing in cultural groups. So I kind of have everybody from the Brazilian Culture Center has been in it every year. So has Columbia Fest. I've got a really great group that was new last year that's called the Chicago Balinese Gamelan. And if you've never seen those kind of musical performers from Indonesia, they have these there's metallophones that they play with mallets and all these crazy instruments, but they walk down the street and it's really amazing. They had stilt walker dancers and all sorts of crazy things with them.
That's
but
awesome.
It's a fun parade. I mean, Burning Man Chicago's in it. We have fire dancers. We have playa bikes and all sorts of things.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been to 2 of your parades and loved working on it. It's such a fun event, and it is a different, it's all arts, and it's at night, right, as well?
Yes, it's a nighttime parade, and then we've moved. We started it on Columbus Drive, which was kind of had its own charming quality because we strung. There's no buildings over there. It's like right by the parks, and so we had cafe lighting strung down the streets, and kind of gave it a really nice, vibe. But we've moved it now because it's so popular, and people, a lot of times people would come downtown and be like, "Where's the parade?" and they didn't know to go east all the way almost to the lake. So we moved it now to State Street, so it gets a lot more action as far as the people in the audience, but we have to compete with the buildings on State Street, that have their lights on and their business lights on. So so there's a trade-off, but all is good. Everyone loves the parade, and they really enjoy being a part of it.
That's super cool. And you mentioned Burning Man, which we just came back from, you and I, and is where we actually met. Will you talk about, can we talk about Everywhere a little bit?
Yeah.
How cool that is?
Yeah, I got involved with Everywhere. I was brought in by a friend of mine, and I started camping there and volunteering. First as a volunteer. I'm still a volunteer, but I would just like bartend and such and Everywhere. But then I moved on, and this year I was the volunteer coordinator for Everywhere. Everywhere is a space that really, it is for kind of telling about what Burning Man does year-round and different types of ways to be involved in Burning Man when you're not, on the playa. A lot of people go to Burning Man events in their own region, in their own town, but some people don't know that they don't have to go all the way out to Gerlach, Nevada. They can actually go to a Burning Man a couple hours from their home, and it might be actually, more economically feasible, and they can actually, be a part of big art projects that maybe it's not possible for them to do because of geography. And so we like to encourage people to find their regional burns and people with like-minded people in their area. And then there are other initiatives that get taught in Everywhere, as you know as well now. Yeah. But there is Black Rock Labs, where people are talking about, ways to make a smaller footprint to, sustainable ideas. And so people share ideas of innovations that they've come up with. We have Burners Without Borders, which is a great organization that started, with Katrina, that helps, using the skills that have been learned by camping in a remote area and creating a temporary city like Burning Man. They are able to use the skills learned to help in crises when things happen and people need to rebuild and need to create a temporary city because there's been an incident that's occurred in different cities and areas around the world. I don't know. Yeah. What else would you like to know about it? No,
that's great. No, it was super.
It's a fun space when you visit Burning Man to go learn about these type of things. And we have we tend to do a kind of variety show daily where people from all over the world can come and perform and share their talents. But it's connected to the artery, and the artery is the space which actually, takes care of all the artists that bring the great art out to Burning Man and places them on the playa, and it's kind of their art support hub. So we're in a really cool area, sharing a space with them.
Yeah, no, you nailed it again, of course. Yeah, no, it was really fun, everyone. So Allison, I've been to Burning Man. This was my 11th burn, although I hadn't been in 5 years. And Allison asked me to come and be a part of the camp and be a part of Everywhere Pavilion this year. And so we just got done doing that, and it was terrific. And the folks who run Josh and Jenny Kay and our camp, it was just great, and it was really fun to be a part of. I was one of Allison's volunteers, so she was my boss lady for the week at
yeah, I kind of like it when you're my boss, but I was happy to be your boss for a week.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you remember the first Burning Man is such a beautiful event, and it's like when you and I both grew up, we were theater majors, and we got into, doing meetings and events, and Allison is a beautiful videographer as far as, like, she would do a lot of art direction for me, back when we were doing videos for Microsoft. So we started working together after we met, actually, out at Burning Man in about 2004 and 5. And so she was part of the sort of the Maven crew that went around and helped do all of the events for the Office and SharePoint teams, and so she was part of that. Do you remember your first one, by the way? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I remember it was the one. There was a launch of, I think it had to have been a new Office product, because I remember it was the one where there was a hair incident on stage, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
I think it was like 2000 and
would have been must have been, I don't know,
2005.
Yeah, but that would have been Office 2006, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it must have been. It had to be a tech ed or something. I'm not sure.
I think it was an Office launch at first. I think.
I know what it was.
There, and then from there on, you brought me on for tech eds.
Yeah, I think it was actually the Office Developers Conference.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, because they started, and that conference only like went a couple of times. I don't think it didn't really go, but we worked on all the other SharePoint stuff together anyway. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. So,
yeah.
So theater major. So where are you from? I know this, but tell everybody where you're from.
I am from Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville. So
I'm from Louisville if I say Louisville.
Yes. Shout out to KFC. Folks,
Mm-hmm.
and your sweet parents, by the way, who I adore. So that's fun. So grew up in Louisville, and then off to where for college?
I went to Denison University in Granville, Ohio.
Oh my gosh, theater major.
Where I desperately wanted to be an actress. I started as a theater major, only a theater major. I completed most of my requirements my freshman and sophomore year because I was such a theater geek. and I was so excited for my junior year because I knew I was going to be getting lead roles because I'd done all the legwork. I'd done summer stock theater. I had worked in every department. And my junior year, there was a new freshman in town, and it was Jennifer Gardner. And she got all the parts.
Jennifer Garner moved into town. Oh my goodness!
Right.
Yeah.
And then I realized that the place I was always welcome was over at the cinema department because they always needed someone to be in their movies, and they always cast me. I never had to audition. They just said, "Who can we get? Anybody will do." And I kind of became the B movie queen of Denison for a while, and then I decided to double major.
Okay.
So I became a double major in theater and cinema.
Yeah, absolutely. And then and then you were in Chicago, yeah? Which you're in Chicago now. But...
No, I moved to Louisville, Kentucky right after college, I actually used to produce educational videos for American Guidance Service up in Circle Pines, Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
I actually made educational videos like lying, cheating, stealing, gossip, teasing, prejudice. We would do these little series, and we'd do an elementary school version, a middle school version, and a high school version. So I did those, and we put them out on CD-ROMs. That's how long ago it was.
Wow.
You know I'm turning 50 when I start talking about CD-ROMs.
I know.
So.
I did CD-ROM, and I was talking about, I don't know, corded phones the other day, and I was like, oh my goodness.
We're old.
Yeah.
So I started there, and then I moved up to Chicago, and my first job was working as a post-production producer for a company called Edito.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to produce the Danny Bonaducci promos.
That's right.
For his TV show, and we would Vivex them. So that was like old coaxial cable wire. We would send the videos through that way to Los Angeles.
Wow.
For them to send out. So that's old technology. We had D2 tapes that were like the size of a suitcase.
Right.
That we had all of our elements on.
I remember that. What do you think as far as, like we've talked about this a lot, but you know, you're talking about this kind of technology, and then now, you know, I'm sitting here, you know, I have a Zoom, you know, H6 with 4 or whatever, you know, and we're on our computers, and when we get done, this file will be like this big, and I can flip it up to this place, and, you know, Annalise, who produces all these, you know, is gonna, like, what have you seen, or how has it affected, do you think, the industry of all of these changes from sort of all the big stuff to like being able to do things on your phone?
I think it's really exciting. I mean, I really, as much as I love the fact that when I went to film school, I actually shot 16 millimeter film and got to edit on an old Steenbeck editor because we didn't have an Avid to edit on. We didn't have that technology. I mean, I didn't have that. So I just think how exciting to be a film student now and be able to just do it. I think that I would have been more confident in those kind of skills had it been a lot easier. Like, had it been able to be done on my computer like that, I think that there wouldn't have been, you know, I think that, you know, learning it when you're learning it is very important. So I think that, you know, I think just how great. When I went back to Denison just recently, my film professor retired, and there were more women than men that were majors. You know, like when I went, it was like 8 guys and me. There were like 9 of us, you know, and now there's like 100 in the department. And it just is a testament to how things have changed and where things are going.
Yeah, no kidding. That's super cool. Yeah, and I think people have had to, you know, we've talked about like shifting. When technology shifts or things shift around us, you have to shift too, you know, that I find that, you know, remember, I don't know, people would get paid a lot of money for like a 2-minute movie or film or, you know, or advertisement. And I think that, have you felt that shift in the world too, as far as like what people will pay for content?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy time. And the late 90s, I mean, if you didn't have $500,000, you weren't doing a commercial. Like it was, now it's like they want to do them for 10,000 maximum, even if it's in France, you know, like it's like there's no money. So it's changed a lot for sure. I mean, when editing, when you would pay $1,000 an hour and it goes down to like $50 an hour for an editor, you're like, hey, like what's the difference?
Completely. No, I feel like, you know, and everything changes that, you know, there's the gig economy and all of that, like it allows for, you know, you can get somebody on Fiverr or, you know, some of those others to do that sort of work, and it's definitely changed how I think we all interact with each other to do marketing and all of that. You know, I wanted to ask you about, will you tell everybody about Figment as well?
Oh, sure. I mean, Figment is a project that that was started by David Coren in New York City. I've produced a couple of them here in Chicago, and last year I helped with it. But it's a cool arts festival that takes place. Any city can have a Figment project. They just have to, you know, correspond with David and their initiative, what they're doing in New York City. But it's kind of it can either be a weekend or a one-day event, which is kind of it's an arts festival with no commercialism. That's kind of you know, donated. I mean, you can do it different ways. You can do it as a neighborhood association. You can do it as, I mean, in Chicago, it kind of went through Burning Man Chicago, because those were the type of people that would, you know, bring the art projects and bring it. But it's meant to be a community builder where you invite the community to come up with stations and kind of activities that are, you know, all ages family friendly, and you just spend the afternoon just kind of playing in a park, and it's a great kind of concept and idea. They've had some really great ones in San Francisco and other big cities. I mean, they do them. I think they're global now. Like they have them in China and other places. But it's a cool project. It's called figmentproject.org. Yeah, that's so cool. I know, you know. Yeah. So, what do you love about producing events? Well, I think that I am I like networking with people, and I like making people's ideas come to fruition. That's kind of what, so even with my Halloween event, it doesn't seem very hard to come up with 25 people and come up with a creative concept for walking less than a mile. But, you know, when you are a busy not-for-profit and you have a million other things going on, just coming up with a little tiny idea that makes your group look so much cooler is, you know, it means a lot. So I think that part of what my job is to contact these groups and make sure that they have the resources they need. And if they, you know, they want to add something that we find a place that they can resource it and have it, you know, be affordable and that type of thing. So it's been nice, like, networking with people and having them think outside the box and think of, you know, you don't have to have $1,000 float. This year we have Chicago Children's Theater is one of our grant recipients, and they're doing these huge mouths made of cardboard that open and close. But that's going to look amazing going down the street, you know. Right. But that's, you know, that didn't cost them $1,000. That cost them, everyone, you know, taking recycled boxes and some paint and getting creative. And so I think that's the exciting part about working with arts events, is facilitating artists and helping them, you know, come up with things that work.
Yeah. No, I think it's a bit, when you're in the producing side of things, you know, the backstage, right, or the back of house, or, you know, walking through the kitchen, you know, with the servers and all of that, there's an element of MacGyver plus, you know, just thinking on your feet and just being able to come up with those ideas. And I don't know, I think those theater degrees serve us well for that sort of thing.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, that comes back to, I used to always be, I mean, poor Dennison, when I was so furious that I wasn't getting cast in any of the parts I auditioned for, I kept getting cast as stage manager. And I think I kept getting cast for a reason, because they were trying to tell me that was something that I do well. And that's something, like, when I did corporate events, that I liked doing well. I liked interviewing people because I like making them feel comfortable talking to me. I really enjoyed being, you know, introducing people who are getting ready to speak and do their PowerPoint presentation, and I'm making sure that their PowerPoint's working and miking them and getting them comfortable before, you know, performing on stage. It's just all of the things that I think come with the territory.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't know, what do you think? How many events do you think we were doing a year back when we were, like, kicking it? Was it like 20? I don't know. I know for a fact that I always did, I don't know, it was like, I did like 3 to 5 for sure. Yeah. With you. I mean, we did every Pick Ticket and every World Partner Conference. For sure. Yep. And then we would do, you know, the one in Boston, the SharePoint there, and we do, SPTechCon. Yeah, I was trying to count the other day about how many events, like, we did sort of at the height of some of that, and I think it got up to 20 one time. You know, if you sort of count everything that was going on and all of the events within events.
And I think that when we worked with other partners, like when we were doing other activities, they weren't, you know, a lot of them, you know, when we were doing video and those type of things, I think we were hitting a lot more than, you know, other years. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite party that we've ever thrown?
Well, of course, I'm going to say the Out Point Red party.
Yeah, that was a good one. Miss Ariana.
You know, we had two really good parties. We had some good ones.
Do you find that people are still throwing big parties like that in Chicago?
You know, now that the last 5 years I've been in my, you know, my parade world, so I'm not sure exactly, you know, what kind of parties people are throwing. I don't even go to the, you know, the AICP or AICE ones anymore. But yeah, I still think so. Yeah. Yeah,
I think so too. I think there's like, it's about experiential. You know that word. Are you hearing that word a lot? Experience and experiential.
Oh, yes. In fact, you know, I think that, you know, because of my, you know, right now my parade job is a contract job, so I work kind of, you know, spring to October on this particular job, but I think that a lot of the jobs that I've been, working with and even when I worked with Sony and I did pop-up stores, a lot of experiential event work is where people are going now because they like having social media moments and things that people can, fall, chance into and fall upon. And that takes a lot more planning than something that is staged and can be controlled.
Yeah, I agree. Some of the things I saw this year that Microsoft did is like you could walk into what looked like a Starbucks and you could see how all of the machines were hooked up to the sort of BI tracking behind them, and there was another one that was like set up like Kroger, and you could see where they put up the AI cameras that would tell you if you pulled something off the shelf, and that's a lot of the stuff you did with Sony, I think, too, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, the Sony, I toured. We had a competition, so I went to every camera store around the country giving demos for the A7 camera. But it was in Alaska. Like they'd walk in and it was an Alaska scene, and they'd take pictures of a model, sitting in front of a mountain in Alaska. And, yeah,
I kind of I like that approach. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like, I keep seeing more and more of it, and I think that allows. For better storytelling, I've been writing and reading about, storytelling and I came across that it's like 22% people respond and comprehend 22% more when you actually add story into sort of the facts, the figures, and the features of something. And I think, how do you find people want to build narratives? I think you're doing that with your parade, obviously. I'm seeing it a bit. And do you guys do a theme for the parade? Besides, it's Halloween?
We don't. We've just started doing the theme the last 2 years. Last year, and then that's a way that we kind of reach out to our groups. Last year was the year of Chicago youth.
Okay.
And so we had grants that went to youth organizations that really had never participated in the parade before. And a lot of them, even though they're not getting a grant, of course, they signed up again because their students had such a great time.
Right.
So this year's the year of Chicago theater. We had, Looking Glass has always been a great supporter as well as the Broadway in Chicago, but we didn't have a ton of other theater groups. This year we've got over 20 theater groups, all over, being a part of our parade. So I'm very excited, It kind of gives us next year's the year of Chicago music. So, I'm going to be loving that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I think you probably have one of the most eclectic music tastes of anybody I ever know. And I always love it, You definitely...
I'll blame it on WDUB 91.1 FM in Granville, Ohio, where I was a DJ for the first time. I love music. I do.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I should have had a career in music. But, I'm not dead yet.
Yeah. Well, and you did, this was what, the second or third year you were on BMIR radio at Burning Man?
Oh, I've done it more than that.
Oh, you have?
I don't know. I think it's probably been at least 5 years or so.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah. That's super fun. So everyone who doesn't go to Burning Man, there's a radio station that happens at the event, and at BMIR, and Allison did a couple of sets, and she's done them for years now too. So yeah, she's great on that. You had a
no, it's really fun. I love being on Burning Man Information Radio. It's a kick.
Yeah, that's super fun. I like that because with the going after sort of like youth or theater or whatever, it's a great way to target to get more people to know about the festival. And then, they probably want to hopefully be a part of it after they've, so they come on with that focus and they stay with you probably because they have a great experience because you're awesome at what you do, and it's a really cool event.
Well, the event, it's easy. It's on State Street. It's only 2 hours long. It's from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is a great time for parents to take their kids, because even if they're young, bedtime at 8 p.m., we're done by 8 p.m. and then get home. But the groups that participate, what we really like is having major institutions walking with youth organizations. So I love the fact that, that the Joffrey Ballet is walking with, these little dancers from Volta Art or from, dance, Dance Chicago or Ballet Chicago. Like different groups inspire different groups. Like, and it's just nice that they're adults walking next to kids, and kids can look up and be like, "Wow, that's really cool."
That's awesome.
I'm in the same parade with them.
Right. That's super cool.
You know, yeah.
I like that.
Encourage children to have careers in the arts.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're a busy woman. How do you chill out?
Oh my goodness, I don't think I do. Not in the month of September.
Yeah.
Ask me in November.
Yeah, right. I guess what do you love about Chicago? You've lived there a long time, and
you know, when I love Chicago. I think that when I moved back, you know, in 2008, and when I moved out to California, I kind of thought, oh my gosh, I'm never going back to that snowy place. And I think that when I came back to move to be closer to family, like, I really have loved being back. And I kind of realized that, you know, that these are my people. You know, the Midwest people are my people. And I feel like, you know, I have refound my home that I just forgot was my home for 8 years.
Yeah, that happens. It happens for sure. Yeah, I love the Midwest too, and it was fun going back to Michigan this summer. You know, for a brief visit to see my people as well. So I'm hoping to spend a little bit more time with you there.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, thank you. This has been awesome. I love this parade, and I've loved being involved with it, and it is so different and cool, and I love the connections that you have sort of from all of that, like into the Burning Man community and the arts community, and how you always are bringing people together, and that's a big cool deal, hon, and you're so good at it.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like this year we've tried, like the last 2 summers, we've tried something new, because we really want to get like regular people in different neighborhoods to jump up and participate if they feel like it. And so we've been doing these lantern walks along the Chicago Riverwalk in the summer. So we have been teaching people how to make lanterns and trying to get other things going. So I just think that as much as we can tell people that even though you're not, you know, professionally trained in the arts, that doesn't mean you can't express yourself. And that's one of the things I love about Burning Man, is that, you know, you see so many people that go out there that they might be a lawyer in their daytime, but they have made this rock outfit, like a, you know, rock star outfit that they come out in, and they really are showing, you know, their inner artist. And I think we all have that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, people are like, I'm not creative, or I'm not this and I'm not that, and everything we do has artistic quality and merit, you know, some more than others. But yeah, I love organizations and events and experiences that let that fly free, you know, which is really super cool. I adore you, one, and it's so funny talking to somebody you know so well on a podcast in a way. You know? So it's quite lovely. But I always ask for the last question, what, if you can point out a person, place, or thing, or time, or something that really sparked you to do what you do, and, you know, who you are today. If you could pinpoint one or two that you would feel free sharing with our listeners.
Wow. No wonder you didn't give me the questions in advance.
That's the only question.
Well, I know. I think that I do think that my very first time, it was like when I went to when I read about Wired magazine, when I read about Burning Man with my friend Denise Geardy, who got me to go my first year. I had no idea how much going to that festival in 1998 would change kind of the scope of the type of work I do and what I do, but it did. I think that it had a really big impact on me. You know, I'm sure there's many things in my life that have had a big impact on me, like, you know, switching from theater to cinema and then working in film for most of my career. But I think that when I went out and saw Burning Man and I saw these large-scale art and spectacle-type pieces, I think it kind of led me to what I'm doing right now. Where it'll take me, you know, after this, who knows? But that's where I am now.
Yeah, That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Denise Garrity gave me my tickets too, so as we like to say, it's all her fault. So
yeah, we'll blame her.
Awesome.
And we'll toast to her. So,
yes. A big cheers to
right.
and love to Denise for sure. So, and all of our campers out there. So, we've got this beautiful parade coming up in less than a month. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be October 19th. If you're in the Chicago area, you're not going to want to miss it. We got some great groups.
Yeah.
You'll be happy with it. Yeah.
And it's so is it something? I know it's changed, but like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Oh, it steps off at 6 p.m. So you probably want to get down there around 5:30 and find a spot, or earlier. There'll be people, clogging up State Street, but it starts at Lake Street and ends at Van Buren.
Awesome, that's great. Oh, you know who else? I had on your beautiful poet friend that she made me cry. Karen Little.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She just was amazing and read this beautiful poem, and we had a great chat on one of the pods a couple weeks ago, so it was kind of fun. So thank you for that. She's a Chicago-based artist, folks, that's a poet, and she does a lot in arts grants and arts advocacy and stuff, and Allison connected her with me, which was really cool.
Yeah, I thought you guys would like each other because she's working with the Women's March here and that type of thing, too. Yeah,
no, it was super awesome, so that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. And then, a little bird knows that you're going to be with me for Ignite in Orlando.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be your official handler. Make sure that you get all the interviews down perfectly.
Yeah, probably. Need some help with a community reporter running around. So Allison will be there with me, which will be great. So,
it'll be great to see all the people I've missed seeing everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be super fun. So, and then we round into the new year, and I don't know. Do you have any big plans for the new year?
I don't have any big plans for the new year. I plan on, celebrating the entire year. It's my 50th year. I think I should, do great things in 2020.
I know. I was kind of leading you along that since it is your big 5-0. So, yeah. It's like we're going to celebrate all year long. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, great. Well, honey, thank you so much. I love you. I adore you, and been wanting to have you on for a while to tell everybody about all the cool things you do in the world. So,
well, I really appreciate it, and thank you for promoting our little big event here in Chicago.
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
I really feel free to cut out whatever you want.
Not a word, nary a word.
All right.
All right. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Awesome.
Bye.
Yep. So everyone, that has been another episode of our Mavens Do It Better podcast. You can find us on Stitcher, on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Play, all the great places where you normally find us. And here is to another beautiful day on this big blue spinning sphere. Thanks. The original music on this podcast was created by Jesse Case.